It is Throwback Thursday, and yes, we have part 2 of the iconic films since cinematic history began. In part 1, we started covering iconic films from the 1920s until the 1960s in the genre of comedy. Now we're going to cover from the 70s until present day. If you do want to have a look at what was in part 1, then you have to go to one of our reels and have a look at the other video, or you can go to YouTube and look at the video as well. And if you do have any comments on your favorite film from this era or your favorite comedy film of all time, and it falls into one of these decades, which it should do, then let me know. As Kirsten did last week or a couple of weeks ago, which told us High Society, the 1956 film, was her favorite film. And I've yet to watch that, but I will. Anyway, let's get straight into it. This is part 2, iconic films from the 70s until present day, one from each decade. And let's get started. So, in 1979, we have Monty Python's Life of Brian, written by Graham Chapman and John Cleese, and also starring them as well. Incidentally, they met at Cambridge University, where they formed an alliance, and then from there they grew the network, and they developed a unique style of comedy. And they released a film called Holy Grail, which was in 1975. And following on from that was The Life of Brian. So it's set during the Roman occupation of Judea, where we get to follow the events that occur when a regular guy called Brian gets mistaken for a messiah. Standing the test of time as a cultural icon, this is a must-watch for every comedy lover out there, because you can also see the evolution of comedy in film as well, because this was a defining moment when a lot of people were inspired by Monty Python and their brand and their style of comedy. However, it was highly controversial when the film was released. People did try and get it banned because they deemed it to be blasphemous. Anyway, it has stood the test of time, and it is available to watch on Netflix. Right, 1980s, we have The Blues Brothers, which was actually released in 1980. Of course, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, and they feature as brothers Jake and Elwood, who go on a mission from God in Chicago, Illinois, to reunite their old rhythm and blues band to make legitimate money to save the orphanage that they grew up in. It's got one-liners and cameos from music royalty people like Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, Chaka Khan, James Brown, as well as also actors like Carrie Fisher, John Candy, John Goodman as well. And it's a major blockbuster film. It's got a lot of music, of course, and you can watch it again and again. It is fun. And a little fact about it, the movie did actually hold the record for the most number of cars crashed during stunts, which totaled 104. The record was only broken when they came out with a sequel in 2000 by just one more car. It is available to stream on Apple TV. Right, in the 90s, we've got The Big Lebowski, 1998. Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Julianne Moore. Jeff Bridges, familiar to most as the villain from the first Iron Man film, stars in this one as Jeff the Dude Lebowski. He gets assaulted by thugs who mistake him for a millionaire with the same name, and gets his unpredictable bowling buddies to help seek restitution from the rug that, according to him, held his room together. It's a pop culture phenomenon. It is a very cult film. The Big Lebowski gave birth to an actual religion, they say, called Dudism, with real ardent followers who prioritize being chill and laid back over anything else. It is available to watch, and it's streaming on Apple TV. Right, let's get into the 2000s. We have Shaun of the Dead, which was released in 2004, a British comedy by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. They also star in this comedy film, directed by the innovative Edgar Wright. It's got witty dialogue, and visual humor oozes out from every second of the story, featuring an aimless London electronics salesman and his lazy parasite roommate who witness a zombie apocalypse. Right, and this is available for streaming on Apple TV. Next, we have the final film in the list, which is The Dictator, released in 2012. featuring Sacha Baron Cohen, Anna Faris, and Ben Kingsley. The man behind the famous slapstick characters like Borat, Bruno, Ali G that you all know about. Sacha Baron Cohen, actually, funny enough, also came from Cambridge University, and Monty Python were one of his inspirations behind him getting started in comedy, along with Peter Sellers. Anyway, they pushed the boundaries of satire, R-rated humor in this classic film where a beloved oppressor of fictional Wadiya embarks to the United Nations in New York to fight the US's embargo on his country. A traitor within his regime swaps him out with a body double, and the real leader has to prove his legitimacy in front of the world to save his country. And that's streaming on Netflix. And those are all the 5 films to conclude our iconic films since cinematic history began. 10 decades, 10 films. If you have any thoughts, if you have any comments, if you have any ideas on what your favorite films are, as I said, leave your comments below, leave your suggestions. We will even give you a mention.